never heard a sound so loud in my life. The lion's roar made my chest shake. I was hiding behind a bush, too scared to move. King Ndozi, the lion, was angry, really angry. His golden mane looked like fire as the sunlight hit it, but he didn't look kind or strong. He looked terrifying. Who dares to steal from my kingdom? King Ndozi roared. His voice echoed through the forest. Birds flew away, and even the trees seemed to stand still. All the animals had gathered under the big baobab tree. Their heads were low, their tails tucked. No one dared to look up. A goat was missing. Not just any goat, one from the herd King Ndozi protected. Everyone knew the lion's rules. No one was allowed to steal. He made sure all the animals lived peacefully. If someone broke the rule, they had to confess. If no one speaks, King Ndozi growled, you will all pay. For 7 days, I will hunt, and no one will be safe. The animals trembled. A monkey whispered to a parrot, who would be so foolish to steal from him. The parrot shook its head, too scared to answer. I stayed hidden in the bush, hoping no one would see me. I wasn't part of the lion's kingdom. I was just a boy from the village nearby, out looking for firewood. But now I couldn't leave. I was stuck there, watching the most powerful animal in the forest threaten everyone. The lion's anger scared me more than anything I'd ever seen. But what scared me even more was the thought of what would happen next if no one confessed. The goat was gone. That's all anyone knew. It wasn't eaten by a leopard or taken by hunters. Someone in the forest had stolen it, and King Ndozi was furious. The missing goat belonged to a herd the lion himself protected. These goats were special, meant for trading with the nearby villages. They gave milk, and their wool could be used for clothes. Losing one goat wasn't just bad, it was dangerous. If King Ndozi couldn't protect the herd, the villagers might stop trusting him. The animals gathered under the big baobab tree, whispering nervously. The lion stood tall on a rock, his sharp eyes scanning the crowd. No one wanted to meet his gaze. Who took it? He asked again, his voice low but full of warning. Do not make me ask a third time. The animals stayed quiet. A rabbit shuffled nervously. A monkey scratched its head. A parrot opened its beak but then closed it quickly. No one wanted to be the one to speak up. King Ndozi let out a deep growl. You all know the rules. Stealing is forbidden in my kingdom. If I find out who did it, their punishment will be severe. But if no one confesses, I will punish everyone. You will all suffer for one creature's foolishness. The forest felt heavier after that. The monkeys stopped playing in the trees. The birds didn't sing. Even the river seemed quieter. Everyone was scared of what the lion might do. I stayed hidden, watching from my spot behind the bushes. I didn't belong here, but I couldn't leave either. What if someone saw me and blamed me for the missing goat? The thought made my stomach twist. As I sat there, I noticed something strange. A jackal was slinking through the trees, far away from the crowd. He didn't look scared like the others. Instead, he seemed sneaky. My heart started beating faster. Could he be the one who took the goat? The jackal wasn't acting normal. He kept glancing around as he walked through the trees, his body low to the ground. It was like he thought someone was watching him. I stayed hidden, crouching behind the thick bush, trying not to make a sound. My heart was pounding. What if he saw me? What if he blamed me for the missing goat? I didn't know much about jackals, but I'd heard stories. They were tricksters, always finding sneaky ways to get what they wanted. And this one didn't look scared like the other animals under King Ndozi's watch. He looked like someone who had done something wrong but didn't think he'd get caught. The lion's roar echoed louder this time. I will hunt tonight, he warned. If you know anything, speak now. The jackal stopped in his tracks and looked around. He sniffed the air, his nose twitching. My hands trembled as I tried to stay completely still. Suddenly, he ducked behind a tree, and I lost sight of him. For a moment, everything was quiet. The animals by the baobab tree were whispering nervously, but I couldn't hear what they were saying. My eyes stayed fixed on the tree where the jackal had disappeared. Then I saw him again. This time, he was holding something in his mouth. It was small, fluffy, and white goat fur. My stomach twisted. It was true. The jackal had stolen the goat. I felt sick. What was I supposed to do? I was just a boy from the village. If I told King Ndozi, the jackal might come after me. But if I said nothing, the lion would hunt everyone in the forest. I stayed frozen, staring at the jackal as he disappeared deeper into the trees. My heart told me what I had to do, but my fear kept me rooted in place. I couldn't keep quiet anymore. My hands were shaking, and my chest felt tight, but I had to tell the lion what I saw. If I didn't, the whole forest would suffer. I stood up slowly from behind the bush. My legs felt like jelly, and my heart was pounding so loudly I thought everyone could hear it. King Ndozi. I called out, my voice trembling. The lion turned his massive head toward me. His golden eyes locked onto mine, and I froze for a moment. Who are you? He asked, his voice deep and strong. I'm just a boy from the village, I said, taking a deep breath to steady myself. I came to collect firewood, but I saw something. I think I know who took the goat. The animals gasped. The monkey dropped a fruit he was holding, and the parrot flapped its wings nervously. Speak. King Ndozi commanded, stepping down from his rock. His huge paws made the ground shake as he came closer. Who is the thief? I swallowed hard and pointed toward the trees where I had seen the jackal. It was the jackal, I said. I saw him sneaking around, and he had goat fur in his mouth. The lion's eyes narrowed, and his tail swished behind him. He let out a low growl that made the hairs on my arm stand up. If you are lying, he said, I will make your village pay for wasting my time. I'm not lying, I said quickly, my voice shaky but firm. I saw it with my own eyes. King Ndozi lifted his head and roared so loudly that the trees seemed to shake. Bring the jackal to me, he bellowed. The animals scattered, some running to find the jackal, while others stayed frozen in fear. I stood there, my knees wobbling, but I felt a little braver. I had done the right thing, even if I was still scared of what might happen next. The jackal stood in front of King Ndozi, his head low but his eyes darting around. The other animals formed a circle, whispering to one another. Everyone was waiting to see what the lion would do. I didn't take the goat, the jackal said, his voice steady but quiet. This boy is lying. He's trying to trick you. The lion didn't roar this time. He stepped down from his rock and walked slowly around the jackal. His huge paws barely made a sound on the ground. You say the boy is lying, King Ndozi said, his voice deep and calm. But I smell the truth. There is goat fur on your teeth and the scent of the herd on your paws. Do you deny this? The jackal shifted nervously. I was near the herd, yes, but only to check on them. Maybe the fur got on me by accident. The lion stopped and looked directly at the jackal. Then prove your innocence, he said. Take us to where you've been today. The jackal froze. He glanced at the animals, then at me, and finally back at King Ndozi. His tail twitched nervously again, but he nodded. Fine, he said, his voice shaky. I'll show you. The lion motioned for the animals to follow. I stayed close to the back of the group, my heart pounding. We walked through the trees until we reached a small clearing. There, hidden under some leaves, was the goat's body. The animals gasped. The jackal's ears drooped, and he stepped back. King Ndozi roared, shaking the ground beneath us. You lied to me, jackal. You broke the rules of this kingdom. The jackal tried to speak, but the lion silenced him with a growl. You will face punishment for your actions, King Ndozi said. But first, you will confess to everyone here. The jackal lowered his head. I did it, he said quietly. I took the goat because I was too lazy to hunt. The lion's eyes turned to me. You were brave to speak the truth, he said. Your courage has saved the forest. The jackal hung his head low as King Ndozi circled him. The animals were completely silent now, waiting to see what would happen next. My heart was still pounding. I had done my part, but I had no idea what kind of punishment the lion would give. You broke the most important rule in my kingdom, King Ndozi said, his voice deep and steady. You stole what wasn't yours. Worse, you lied to everyone to save yourself. The jackal didn't look up. I'm sorry, he muttered, but it was clear he wasn't sorry about stealing. He was only sorry he got caught. Sorry is not enough, the lion said. Your actions put the whole forest in danger. Because of you, I almost hunted innocent animals. Because of you, trust was broken. The animals murmured in agreement. A monkey shouted, he deserves to be banished. The lion raised a paw, and the crowd fell silent again. Your punishment, King Ndozi said, is to serve the herd. For 1 year, you will protect the goats. You will make sure they are safe from harm. If even one goes missing, you will answer to me. The jackal's eyes widened. But I'm a predator. How can you expect me to protect them? The lion growled softly. You should have thought of that before you stole one. Now you will learn the value of hard work and respect. The animals nodded, some even smiling. It wasn't the punishment they expected, but it was fair. The jackal would have to work to fix the harm he caused. The lion turned to me. And you, he said, have shown great bravery and honesty. For that, you are welcome in my kingdom anytime. I felt my cheeks grow warm. The animals cheered, and for the first time, I felt proud. I wasn't just a boy from the village anymore. I had helped save the forest. As we all walked back to the baobab tree, I glanced at the jackal. He looked unhappy, but he didn't argue. Maybe, just maybe, he was starting to understand the weight of his actions. The jackal wasn't happy, but he had no choice. From that day on, he was always near the goat herd, keeping watch. At first, the goats were scared of him, and they huddled together whenever he came close. But over time, they realized he wasn't going to hurt them. I stayed in the forest for a while, curious to see how things would turn out. I saw the jackal chasing off a group of hyenas one evening. He looked tired afterward but also proud. The goats even bleated softly at him, almost like they were thanking him. The forest had changed after the lion's test. The animals stopped arguing as much and worked together more. The monkeys helped the smaller animals find food. The birds warned the others when danger was near. Even the river seemed to flow more gently, as if it, too, was at peace. One day, as I was gathering firewood, King Ndozi found me. He walked beside me quietly for a while before speaking. You taught us something important, he said. Even though you are not from the forest, you reminded us of the value of truth and courage. I didn't know what to say. I was just a boy who saw something and spoke up. But the lion's words made me feel proud, like I had really done something that mattered. Before he left, King Ndozi said, if you ever need help, the forest will be here for you. You are part of our story now. As I walked back to my village, I thought about everything that had happened. The jackal had stolen because he was lazy, but he was learning a hard lesson. The lion had shown that even the most powerful leaders must be fair and wise. And I had learned that sometimes, doing the right thing is scary, but it can change everything. The forest and its animals taught me lessons I would never forget. And even though I was just a boy from the village, I knew I had made a difference. That day, the forest wasn't just a place full of trees and animals, it felt like a home.